Good morning and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and live stream home here at fakepigskin.com. I am your host, Kyle Robert. It is week 14. It is fantasy playoffs time, hopefully, for everybody. Whether you've started or this is the first matchup you have, good luck. Let's go win some fantasy championships. Sorry for the delay this morning. My computer decided it was going to do whatever it wanted for the first, 20 minutes or so. So here we are. We're live. We got lots to talk about, Brian Twining. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, especially with the breaking news that Leonard Fournette is a game day inactive for the Buccaneers, meaning that this is Rojo season all day, every day, baby.
Okay, so are you in a windstorm or am I in a windstorm? Because I'm hearing lots of feedback.
Maybe I'm in a windstorm. How's that?
You're good now. Let us know in the comments if it's obnoxious. We'll try and power through it. Technology just kind of does whatever it wants to do and makes you deal with it. So here we are. Connections. It is Rojo season. It is our favorite time of the year. I'm really excited to see if he can go off. I'm gonna retweet the live stream so people can hop on. It looks like Periscope's working this morning, which is nice.
Thanks, Zoo.
What sounds like crap? I need more feedback. Let me. Thanks for bearing with us, everybody.
It's been an eventful morning.
The proverbial dream here. I'm going to turn myself down a little bit. Maybe that's what it is. Give us some feedback in the old comments. Better. I feel like we're doing this for the first time, even though we've been doing this every single Sunday morning for the whole season. Okay.
Well, MSN.
Can you hear me now?
Side, it sounds
Can
good
you hear
to
me? Okay, cool. We'll roll with that, Brian. John, if that sounds better, let me know.
All right.
Question. Go ahead.
This is easy because Leonard Fournette was ruled inactive, so you got to go Swift and Dobbins.
Yeah, well, yeah, but okay. So I have a question though. I have a comment or a question in my DMs that is asking Swift or Dobbins. Do we trust Swift on the way back, or is the Ravens' nightmare trio enough to make Swift the play there?
I would say, damn, they're both really good plays. I think the one issue you run into with Deandre Swift this week is he's had multiple weeks now where he hasn't played. He didn't even start practicing until late this week, so we don't know what kind of shape he's in, how he recovered from that head injury. But I think he has the best upside of the two because of his receiving prowess in this offense, and they're down their best outside weapon in Kenny Golladay once again. So I would probably take the chance with Swift as the higher ceiling play.
Okay. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm. It's hard to trust somebody coming back, but he's walking into so much opportunity in a matchup that's not terrible that I think he can feast. Brian, on your start and sit column, I was looking through that last night. That will be, you need to be checking out each and every week on the old fakepigskin.com. I see you're talking about our boy Colin Johnson. Going back there. The Titans secondary is garbage, and I know Mike Glennon is Mike Glennon, but Colin Johnson is a very sneaky play that I think could pay off big, especially if you're looking, I don't know, for a DFS angle here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he's led the team in targets. Each of the last 2 weeks, he's led the team in receiving yards as well during that span, and he seems to be the favorite downfield threat for Mike Glennon, as DJ Chark just hasn't been able to get on the same page as Glennon recently. So, if you're looking for somebody who's extremely cheap in DFS, Colin Johnson is 3,800. if you're going to pair him in a Titans Jacksonville stack, I think that makes a ton of sense there. Even playing, just making it a complete game stack, because we've seen Jaguars games hit the overs, pretty much every week over the past few games, just because their
Mm-hmm.
defense is bad and their offense is starting to take a ton of shots going up against the Titans. I think this game is a good stacking opportunity.
Yeah, like it sounds really gross, but I think using Glennon and Colin Johnson and maybe DJ Chark and then or James Robinson and then coming back with like an AJ Brown or a Corey Davis
Yep.
might be a cheap way to get started, and then you could put in your studs around them. I think that could make a ton of sense.
All right, so we got another question here. In flex, he needs to decide between Curtis Samuel, Devin Singletary, Chase Claypool, DeAndre Washington, or Duke Johnson. Well, Roman, that is a lot of people.
Okay, so let's start knocking names out. I think Devin Singletary can be easy. Let's start with DeAndre Washington. Obviously, opportunity is going to be there. Revenge game, so the narrative plays. But how much are we buying what DeAndre Washington can do here? Because I know there's going to be a lot of should I play him? Should I play him versus this guy versus that guy? In general, where's your head at with him this week?
At first I was kind of skeptical about what we were going to see there, but I'm in on the DeAndre Washington train this week, just knowing that even a couple weeks ago when Matt Breida was healthy, it was actually DeAndre Washington who saw the bulk of the carries back there. And now that Breida, Gaskin, and Salvin Ahmed are all out, and the only other option is Patrick Laird or Lynn Bowden, who hasn't played running back at all this season. So I think this is a perfect opportunity for Miami to keep this game, tight by running the ball against the Chiefs defense who struggles against the run. You can't, so I love his touch upside here. I think he sees 15 plus touches in this game. And when you're getting a running back at that level, I think that's great. And, he's actually known for his receiving skills, not necessarily his running. So if he's getting 3-4 receptions as well, I actually really like Washington this week.
Yeah. Lynn Bowden is a sneaky name that if you have a room on the back of your bench and are willing to stash and see what happens. Last week, guys, basically his first game since week 5, first game with the Dolphins. He had a rushing attempt for 11 yards. He had 4 catches for 41 yards. Something to keep an eye on. Brian, Roman also mentioned that he could sit Devontae Parker, who, if you read Brian's Time to Shine or Ride the Pine, you would know where he thinks Devontae Parker should end up.
Yeah, I'm extremely worried about what Devontae Parker is going to produce this week against the Chiefs because looking into the numbers there, both Bashad Breeland and Charkandrick on the outside, they have been extremely good against wide receivers, limiting their catch percentage to under 60, and then also like yards per reception, which is where Devontae Parker makes his bread and butter deep down the field, and this Chiefs defense hasn't really been allowing that. So I do think that they're going to roll coverage his way. There's not many other options on the outside. So I would probably sit Parker and put in Chase Claypool this week against the Bills defense, who, they're susceptible against the pass, especially throwing deep here. And although I've been knocking Big Ben recently, I do think that Pittsburgh and Buffalo are going to be able to air the ball out against each other.
All right, so we got Claypool and we got so if the other option, I think I don't know if I trust Duke. So no. Duke, DeAndre, Samuel, or Singletary. So if we're assuming, we'll say Claypool's our number 1 option. So if he wants to roll with Parker, that's fine as a flex. Who would be number 2 if you were, say, putting in Claypool at the wide receiver spot and then finding a flex still?
I would probably lean with Curtis Samuel, go back to the well with this guy here with Christian McCaffrey missing again. Now DJ Moore is also out. So this offense is going to be funneled through 3 guys. It's going to be Mike Davis, Curtis Samuel, and Robbie Anderson. And this is a high volume offense. They like to throw a lot of those short passes. So you're going to look at a lot of targets, a lot of receptions, and a lot of room to make, find pay dirt after the catch. So I would probably go Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I like that. We're talking about a couple of rookie receivers. We got CeeDee Lamb. We got T. Higgins. If you have to start one this week, who are you thinking about?
I'm probably going CD Lamb. I really like T. Higgins on the outside for the Bengals, but I worry about their offense. I know the Cowboys' pass rush has been much improved over the last couple weeks, so who knows what kind of time they're going to have back there. And this is an Andy Dalton revenge game here, man. He gets his old team. Andy Dalton has looked pretty good the last couple weeks. He's targeted CeeDee Lamb a ton and Michael Gallup with also not just the best part about CeeDee Lamb and Gallup this week is that William Jackson, the best corner for Cincinnati, is probably going to be glued to Amari Cooper all day. And that means tons of targets for Lamb and Gallup. So I would go CeeDee Lamb with a good opportunity to put up another 5+ reception game for 70 plus yards if he can just break one deep.
Desean Watson is not only down Will Fuller, but now he's down Brandon Cooks, who's out this week. He ended up having a fine game last week, but
I'm so mad at you for picking the Bears as your best bet because you got all the cards falling your way right now.
You know what, Brian? I hit a best bet last week. The odds of me hitting one 2 weeks in a row seems very, very unlikely, but let's go with that. Yeah. The Cardinals are going to have their pieces. Kenyon Drake's active. DeAndre Hopkins is active. Like the line still scares me from a betting perspective, but like if the Giants are going to cover this, isn't it more of a low scoring game? Like, are you worried about the Cardinals offense at all today?
I think the one thing that I'm still really worried about is Kyler Murray's shoulder problem that we've seen. I know last week he looked a little closer to what we saw early in the season with him, taking off and running, but if he has any sort of lingering effects with that and he's not running as much, I do think the Giants defense with how well they've been playing will be able to keep this close. And I think they could actually, if need be, also get into a little bit of a shootout here against the Cardinals, who their defense has not looked great the past couple of weeks. Patrick Peterson has lost a step throughout this season. I think there's a path to this game being close, both high scoring and low scoring. So it'll be interesting to see the way the game pans out, but I do like the Giants with the points.
So we have a question in the chat about the Texans and from a DFS angle. Are we, Kiki QT running all these deep routes is very interesting, but if he's the only guy out there, I'm not sure how to feel about that. And then, we talked DeAndre Washington. Is Duke Johnson somebody that you'd start over DeAndre Washington? Or is Duke Johnson even somebody that if you're looking to save money at running back in DFS, you consider going to?
I'm really not on Duke Johnson this week. He's been so ineffective rushing the ball. Now they're going up against the Bears, who really have nobody to worry about on the outside. They're going to worry about the Dateline guy, Chris Hansen, on the outside. I just don't see a world where anybody scares you on this Houston offense.
Brian, go ahead and have a seat. I'm going to tell you about how I went for 140 and 2 touchdowns this week.
I think the one guy in this offense that sees a little bit of a bump today would probably be Jordan Akins, as they've already talked about it last week that they kind of wanted to get him outside of the formation and stop lining him up, in line, which will probably be Darren Fells a lot today. I think you see a lot more 2 tight end sets with Houston with Akins lining up in the slot, which could bring in a little more volume for him.
Yep. So Houston wide receivers, Kiki QT is the only one I would start. It is Ronald Jones season, so yes, fire up Ronald Jones. I have a question in my group chat, Brian. And I think it's very pertinent to what we're discussing. So we got Kiki QT, we got Cole Beasley, and we got CeeDee Lamb. We need to pick 2, so one of those players has to sit.
Oh man, I'd probably sit QT. I have no faith in this offense today.
Okay. We have a question from our chat. We have Christian Kirk. We have Michael Pittman in a non-PPR league.
Oh, give me Pittman. That's not.
Is it Pittman season?
Yeah, that's not even a question for me.
Ooh, I really want Christian Kirk to be a thing, but the longer it takes, the longer it goes. Yeah, you're probably right. And as you wrote up in your Ride of the Piners Time to Shine article over on fakepigskin.com, he is one of your starts this week. So great to see. Alexis, it depends on who else you have. Brian's not a big fan of Devontae Parker this week. the matchup isn't super favorable, but he's been solid. So if you want to ride that, that totally makes sense. We need one in a full PPR. We have Raheem the Dream, we have Rojo season, and we have Miles Sanders. How do you sit any of those guys?
Dude, I know, but it's got to be Rojo today. With no threat other than Shady McCoy in the backfield, it's got to be Rojo.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Even as much as I love Mostart, that game against Washington is I don't I don't know. A lot of the smart people are on the Niners, which means that it's going to be a running game, which means Mostert should go off. And as bad as Miles Sanders was last week in a cake matchup, I still think he's really talented. I am curious though, again in this matchup with Jalen Hurts under center, how effective the Eagles offense can be in general. And maybe that just fading them this week is probably the move.
I think it'll be. I think this is one of the most intriguing games of the weekend because I do think that the Eagles' offense might run a little bit more efficiently, going more towards the running game and using that RPO system with the actual threat of the running back doing something. So, I think there's a world where this game is close really early, and the Eagles' defense is able to kind of stymie what New Orleans does a little bit early on, and this game is tight all the way to the end.
Yeah, I'm curious to as you mentioned with the RPO action, with some of the stuff, like they've made running backs a lot more viable, I guess. So I'm wondering if they run some double options with Clement or Boston Scott also out there, to see if that would be interesting. So pick 2, Brian. We got Alvin Kamara, we got Adam Thielen, we got Jonathan Taylor. We'll go half PPR, I guess, for argument's sake. I think Kamara, even as bad as he's been, is probably a must play. And then it's either Thielen or Taylor, and I think it's Thielen for me.
I think it kind of depends on is this for like super flex, or is this choosing to put Thielen in a wide receiver spot? Because if you have wide receivers better than Adam Thielen that are already starting ahead of him, good for you. You're probably really good this year. I would go with the 2 running backs. I love Jonathan Taylor this week against the Raiders, who have been absolutely terrible against the opposing backfields. Jonathan Taylor last week, we saw him do what he can do, and they seem to be trying to get him a little bit more involved in the passing game as well. And, trying to take some of the pressure off of Phillip Rivers, especially against an improved Raiders pass rush, I think will be crucial in this game. So I think Jonathan Taylor is anywhere 18 to 20 touches today, definitely gets over 100. I think he finds the end zone. So I'm going Kamara and Jonathan Taylor.
I will take the opposite of all those numbers. What is Jonathan like? Imagine the match in like week 13 being, or week 12 being the week, like, that Jonathan Taylor guy is pretty good. We drafted him in the second round. Maybe we should start giving him now that the season's almost over. I don't know. We got a flex question, Brian. We got Terry McLaurin. We got Deontay Johnson. We got Raheem the Dream. We can only start one. Scary Terry.
Oh man, he's put up a couple disappointing performances.
Yeah. And we have Deontay Johnson, who, as I've mentioned, if he's in a decent enough matchup against Buffalo, which he is, he sees double-digit targets if he plays the whole game. For me, if it's any sort of half or full PPR, I think Deontay Johnson's absolutely the name.
Yeah.
If he plays, he should play the full. If he plays 4 quarters, if he gets it hurt in the first quarter, then I don't know what to tell you. But if he plays 4 quarters, he's seeing 10 to 12 targets. He's seeing a really nice game. And I think this is going to actually be a fun up and down game. If you want a little more safety, Raheem Mostert might be the play. But I'm gonna lean Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I completely agree with Kyle. It's Johnson, McLaurin, and then Mostert in that order. And then real quick on Raheem Mostert, it came out this week that he's still dealing with the lower body issue that he had that made him miss a couple games. And so if you're in a league where you have a bye right now, or you're looking for the look ahead kind of ads, I would be looking to add Jeff Wilson Jr. because the 49ers, the Cowboys next week, and we all saw what every team has been able to do against the Cowboys on the ground. And Jeff Wilson, even with a 14 carry game, is probably going to eclipse 100 yards next week. So if you're looking to sneak up on people, I would go out and add him right now, looking for that matchup next week against Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, he could get 7 carries for 12 yards, but have 3 touchdowns,
yeah.
and then you're really happy. So yeah, I know I like that call quite a bit. I'm actually, yeah, I think preemptive ads are
Yes.
key this time of the year. Players like Jeff Wilson, players like Lynn Bowden, players like Donta Foreman. If something were to happen to Derrick Henry today,
So one note on that, Deontay Foreman is actually inactive today. So I'm
oh,
interested. It'll be interesting. I'm wondering if it's now Darrington Evans' time back there.
well, he did. He is active now. So that is very interesting. The one thing I will say is I do wonder if something were to happen to Henry, if
If
they would activate Foreman at that point and give him the volume, because we've seen that in a lot of cases where there's a player that's a clear direct replacement, and if something were to happen, because I mean I don't trust the other options there to see any sort of serious volume, but who knows. We got to start too, Brian. We have Deebo Samuel, we have Jonathan Taylor, we have Amari Cooper, we have Mike Evans. Sheesh. Where
yeah,
I mean, you love Jonathan Taylor. Is Taylor one of the two for you?
yeah, I think Taylor is a shoe in for me right now, just because he's out of those four guys. He's the only running back who, is guaranteed a certain amount of touches, pretty much regardless of the game script for the Colts right now. And then I would probably I would probably go Debo next, just knowing the 49ers offense, the passing offense is run through Debo and Brandon Ayuk.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Mike Evans still has Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, even Ronald Jones too, and then Amari Cooper is going to see a ton of William Jackson today for the Bengals, who has been a legit lockdown corner this year. So I'd be looking at Taylor and Debo.
Yeah, and Evans is also dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue, so I don't know if I can go there between the the inactivity and whatnot. Okay, we got yeah, I'd probably go Cooper and Debo, but I get it. I'm just not I'm not optimistic on Jonathan Taylor. And the last time I was like that, I think he went off for his big game. So do what you will with that information.
Right.
We got Kiki QT, we got Jamison Crowder. Isn't Crowder out this week?
So he's in the late time slot, so we don't really know, but he missed practice on Friday, so it's looking likely he's not going to play.
Yeah.
And even if he is, we don't know how active he'll be.
Okay, I think we can eliminate him. We got Deandre Swift, we got Mike Davis, we got Marvin Jones. In a full PPR, we're looking for a flex. I think it's DeAndre Swift. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go Deandre Swift. I think again, he's such a high ceiling guy,
Mm-hmm.
especially
And
minus their other weapon.
and it's against this Packers defense that has given up monster performances to
Yes.
the aforementioned Jonathan Taylor. And who was the other one that ripped them apart? Miles Sanders definitely let me down on that part. He was supposed to be the third one who did it. But yeah, no, I think it's clearly DeAndre Swift. Beyond there, maybe Mike Davis. Would you start Marvin Jones or Mike Evans? Brian?
I gotta go Marvin Jones in a
Yeah.
game that the Lions are a 8-point underdog right now. It's gonna be a ton of passing. They've picked up the pace since Darrell Bevel has taken over as a head coach. So I think that you see Marvin Jones with another close to 10 target game.
Yep. I totally agree. Cool. Yeah, I mean it's fantasy playoff times. Yeah, we see, even with the illness and concussions. Yeah, so Swift, the illness came, the test came back negative, so there's no reason to hold him out. QT is nice, but he's the only option there. I'm a little concerned about that passing game, and the Packers defense against opposing rushers the past 3 weeks outside of the Miles Sanders game have just been absolutely demolished. So I think he sees plenty of volume. I think he has a great opportunity. And he'll also see volume in the passing game. So I think over QT for me. Russell Wilson or Ryan Tannehill?
Oh man, I don't know how you go against Tannehill with the way his recent performances have been. I know Russell Wilson was cooking earlier this season, but they're expecting a ton of rain. They're facing a Jets team who's terrible. And hopefully you listened to our betting show and took Seattle minus 13.5, because that game is up over 15 and a half.
It's 16 and a half, and it's 10 in the first half, Brian. I didn't get my first half bet, and I'm going to miss out.
this game is looking like an absolute romping where you're going to see probably a ton of Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, whoever the hell's playing running back, and they could throttle it down at the halftime. So I'm going Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, me too. And it's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is going to carry me to a fantasy championship this year. I'm very happy to have him. Looking at the lines, Brian.
Patrick Mahomes, real quick, like Patrick Mahomes is on a completely different planet.
Yeah.
Right now.
Tight end question: Mike Gesicki, Evan Ingram.
I think I didn't really see if Tyrann Mathieu was active. If Mathieu was playing today, I'm definitely going Evan Ingram because I do think that they would put the Honey Badger on Gesicki a lot. And then Evan Ingram too. He's led the team in targets pretty much every game for the last 3 weeks. So I think you got to go Evan Ingram.
Yeah, Gesicki is nice, but I trust the Giants offense to move it enough, and I think especially with Colt McCoy back there to pelt Evan Ingram with the volume. I think that's absolutely the play. Feel free to drop questions if you're jumping in, if you have other ones. Let me drop that for y'all. Appreciate you hopping in. Appreciate you bringing your questions. If you're enjoying what we're doing, make sure you hit subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you know we go live. We break down the waiver wire, we break down the slate from a betting perspective, all that good stuff. Brian, I'm looking at the betting lines and kind of updating from Thursday. Anything, we talked about Seattle is now a much bigger favorite. Anything else that throughout the week that your mind is kind of shifted on, or you're feeling more confident about the picks you made? Detroit +9 at home. I know it's the Lions, but man, that seems like a lot of points.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that. I'm still a little bit higher on the Packers in that game just because Detroit's defense has been pretty bad. One of the games that I was looking at this morning, and I thought, my idea completely shifted, was Atlanta and LA. It is interesting seeing the Chargers as a favorite right now, but Atlanta minus Julio Jones. We talked about it at length before that minus Julio, this offense is just not the same. And the Chargers are coming off an absolute embarrassing game against the Patriots. So their offense should get right today against a poor Atlanta passing defense, which hopefully Anthony Lynn is not trying to force the run. So I think that kind of shifted on that game. I like the Chargers a little bit more. And then I'm really interested about that Titans Jaguars spread here because Jacksonville has been, in games.
Yeah, I feel like it's either going to be 42-3 or like a basically a field goal game either way. Like I don't think this game is like a 10-point win. I think they either kick the crap out of them and Derrick Henry runs for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns, or it's the Titans look lethargic like they did last week. The game's kind of close and the Titans either barely win or lose to Jacksonville. So I think if you like Jacksonville, I totally get it, but don't like. I think teasing Tennessee, like I guess you could do that, but I think it's a barn burner, or Jacksonville probably wins.
I think another game too that really caught my eye this morning was Denver playing Carolina. Denver's getting 4 points here. I know that the Broncos offense has looked absolutely horrible, and now AJ Boye is suspended for 6 games, taking away, their best corner on the outside. But both of these teams, they can't separate from teams. They've both blown leads this season. So I do think that this is probably a game that'll be a little bit closer than the number indicates. I think Denver's defense does just enough to keep them close. And then as long as Drew Lock isn't throwing interceptions all over the place, I think the Broncos could potentially come out with a surprising win in this game.
All right, we got some questions up in here. Let's run through these. Full PPR, Nick Chubb, Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson.
Nick Chubb, Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson.
I know it's hard to sit Nick Chubb in the situation. I'm guessing you have stud running backs if you're able to sit him, but Deontay Johnson will be my pick of the 3. Man, 10 to 12. It's hard to beat 10 to 12 targets, almost guaranteed.
Yeah. I really like Godwin's prospects this week though too. Playing in the slot there, no Eric Kendricks. Harrison Smith, he's probably going to have to play closer to the line of scrimmage this week to defend the run with Kendricks out. So should leave the middle of the field open, and that's where Godwin does most of his damage.
Yeah, I would work a way to find a way to get both of them in your lineups. But if you had to pick one, I go Deontay. Brian goes Godwin. You should probably listen to Brian because he's smarter than I am. We need two, Brian. We got Kiki QT. We got CD Lamb. We got the Colfax, Cole Beasley. Man, is it QT? Is that who we're sitting?
Yeah, QT is the odd man out for me.
Zoo, play Mike Glennon and Colin Johnson and thank us later. If you need to sneak, do you have another sneaky DFS quarterback option?
Yeah, I really like those plays, but I also, I'm looking at it right here. This is kind of gross, and I would apologize if this comes back to bite you in the ass, but Andy Dalton is sitting there at only 5,500 going up against the Bengals defense that is beatable on the outside when you have other options than just one wide receiver. And Andy Dalton, I saw a stat yesterday, I believe it was on FTN, where they actually lead the NFL since Andy Dalton has taken over in red zone passing. At 80% of their plays have been passes inside the red zone, with Michael Gallup having a good size difference over the Bengals defenders, and then CeeDee Lamb, who I love this week, and then Dalton Schultz out there. Ezekiel Elliott banged up with a calf injury. I think Dalton makes for one of those like surprising good 2 to 3 touchdown games and 250 plus.
Who's the quarterback or who's the receiver you're stacking with him if you had to pick one?
I'm going Michael Gallup.
Okay. Brian, we need one. DeAndre Washington, Philip Lindsay, Jeff Wilson Jr., or Michael Pittman.
Man. I'd probably go DeAndre Washington. I just think that he's going to see so much volume today in Miami's attempt to keep this game close that he has the safest floor out of that group.
Okay, we need to start 3. We have Calvin Ridley, we have Deontay Johnson, we have Allen Robinson, we have Chris Godwin, we have Adam Thielen. So,
oh my Lord,
yeah, that's loaded at receiver, and I mean, if you think about it, very, very possible coming out of the draft.
You got to go A-Rob. For me, he's like him and Adam Thielen. I think just for the way that those targets are funneled, are the first 2 that I'm putting in my lineup.
But that means we're arguing about Deontay Johnson and Chris Godwin again, or do we just go Calvin Ridley over both of them?
I know Calvin Ridley is a good play, but the one thing about that is he's like the deep guy for Atlanta, and minus Julio Jones, he hasn't produced as well, so there's no guarantee for as far as like volume.
It's Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, and Adam Thielen for me.
I'm probably going Chris Godwin over Johnson. That's our big disagreement.
That's our big bet for the week. We'll have to keep an eye on that. We need to start 2 running backs and a flex. We have J.K. Dobbins, we have Duke Johnson, we have Devin Singletary, we have DeAndre Washington, and we have Juju Smith-Schuster. Anybody we can eliminate right away? Maybe Duke Johnson and Devin Singletary, so then go Dobbins, DeAndre, and Juju.
Yeah, I like those. Singletary, I just don't know what Buffalo's going to do back there, especially against Pittsburgh and Zach Moss. There's no way he's seeing no carries again for an entire half of football. And then Duke Johnson, I do not like the Texans this weekend.
We got to start 2. We got Antonio Brown, Marquise Brown, Jarvis Landry, and T.Y. Hilton. Do we trust T.Y. to do it to us again 3 weeks in a row after doing nothing? Okay, so I think Jarvis is a must play the way he's been seeing the volume. I think
Marquise Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood seems to be finding his form. It took him a while, and then it's Antonio or Ty, and I'm playing Ty over Antonio.
If in that order, yeah. For me, it's Landry, Brown. I would go Brown.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we only need 2, so it's Hollywood and Jarvis. Yeah. We need 2. We got Raheem the Dream. We got Josh Jacobs. We got DeAndre Washington.
Man, I'm going DeAndre Washington and Raheem Mostert. I know you wouldn't normally sit a day one guy, but Josh Jacobs, he's banged up, going against the Colts, who they're damn good against running backs. So give me Mostert and Washington.
Yeah. With that defense healthy, it's really hard to get traction. But Josh Jacobs and Raheem Mostert are the guys for me. I'm not trusting Raheem. I'm not trusting Washington if I can, and starting stud running backs over him is the move. We need one Brian for our flex. Nelson Aguilar, Michael Pittman, Kiki QT, Brashad Perriman.
Ooh, I love those names. I'm probably honestly going Brashad Perriman, as disgusting as that sounds, but with Jamison Crowder likely going to miss the game, and then Denzel Mims also out, it's between him and Braxton Berrios on the outside for the Jets. So I would go Perriman there.
Man, at this point, I think I'm QT over all of them, but Perriman's close. Pittman's close too, but it's just Philip Rivers arbitrarily decides who he's throwing to the ball to every single week, so I don't know if I can get there. Yeah, Perriman's Brian. I'm gonna go QT in there. We need. All right, Brian. We have to sit one of these: Calvin Ridley, Stephon Diggs, Jonathan Taylor, Thomas.
I'm assuming that's Mike Thomas or Michael.
Michael Thomas. Yeah, but it must be Michael Thomas. You have to sit one.
I'm sitting
Jonathan Taylor.
I'm sitting Calvin Ridley.
Whoa!
We've seen it before this year, minus Julio, where Matt Ryan, he looks at Christian Blake, he looks at Oscar Zakirides, whatever the heck that is. And then
no, you're not wrong. Let me look at something. We got to figure out something. Okay, so while I figure out something, I need you to answer this question. We need a defense. We got Arizona versus the Giants, or we have the footballs against the Niners.
Oh, give me Washington.
Yeah, that's probably the right play. I trust their front seven to put pressure on Nick Mullins, and with Nick Mullins' stuff around his feet, he seems to not do well. But I don't know that I love either of those. Okay, Brian, how confident are you in Jonathan Taylor this week?
I'm pretty confident that he's gonna put up 10 plus fantasy points.
Okay, if you had to start David Montgomery or Jonathan Taylor, who are you starting?
Come on.
Okay, if you had to start Rojo Season or Jonathan Taylor, who are you starting?
I'm going Rojo on that one just because I absolutely love Ronald Jones.
Deandre Swift or Jonathan Taylor?
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, I'm taking Deandre Swift in that. Let's figure out something that we can wager on for next week, because I think that's very interesting. I think Jonathan Taylor lays an egg, and I don't think he lays an egg. I think he's fine. I don't trust his volume. We need a defense: Kansas City or Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go Tampa Bay just for the turnovers potential. If they're able to get pressure on Kirk Cousins, he's likely to throw interceptions.
Yep.
And then, when you look at that Miami game, this is going to be played close to the vest by the Dolphins. It's going to be a lot of running, a lot of quick passing. Just to keep this game.
They're gonna try and limit Tua to as few turnovers as possible. And if you have Justin Jefferson, he can still go off, and the Tampa Bay defense can be solid. We need a quarterback, Brian.
20 question of all time here.
Kyler Murray or Taysom Hill? It's a great question. It's a very legit question because Taysom Hill has been great. Taysom Hill or Kyler Murray?
I'm going Kyler Murray. It's supposed to be really nice today in East Rutherford. It's going to be in the 50s in December in New York or Jersey, actually. Yeah. So give me Kyler Murray over Hill.
I know his shoulder hasn't been great, but I still think he can run a ton and have a really solid game. Taysom Hill might be quote unquote safer, but Kyler's been so good all season long. I know it hasn't been as great. And the fact that Kenyon Drake and DeAndre Hopkins are back makes things only a ton better.
Don't forget about the most important piece of that offense coming back
Christian
today,
Kirk.
Gerald,
oh yeah, he's got to get his one catch and keep that streak alive.
That's right.
Okay, guys, we have about 5 more minutes. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat before we get out of here. We want to answer as many as we can. Help you all out.
From Eduardo the Bomb here. So we got Ravens defense or Panthers defense, and then Brandon Ayuk or Marvin Jones in the flex, and then James Conner or Raheem Mostert as running back 2.
I like the Ravens defense, especially as they're getting a lot of pieces back.
And another note to that game, Austin Hooper is not going to play either for the Browns. So
Yep.
another weapon down on the outside.
And now we need a receiver in the flex. Brandon Ayuk, Marvin Jones. I think it's Jones. I trust him to see more volume or in a game where, as we mentioned, the Lions will be down, or they're 7-8 point underdogs at this point. I think it makes a lot of sense. And then Brian, we need a running back, James Conner, Raheem the Dream as your RB2.
I got to go Connor in this matchup against the Bills, who you can run on, and he's, I know he's coming off of the COVID list, but he'll be looking to prove something here.
I'm going Raheem the Dream. Connor's been kind of average at best, and now he's coming off of a game where he didn't play. I know it's not really an injury, but that's where my head goes. We need one. We need a tight end, and we need a flex. We have Jonnu Smith, Cole Kmet, CeeDee Lamb, Hayden Hurst, J.K. Dobbins, Rojo. Man, there's a lot of names there. I think okay. So if you're playing, I think Rojo is the clear option. As much as I hate sitting a lot of the other names. So if he is your flex, who is your tight end? Is it Jonnu, Cole Kmet?
I'm going Cole Kmet, baby.
Yeah. What about Hurst with now that Julio's out? Do we trust him to see a little more volume?
I think he does see the volume, but he hasn't been seeing the looks in the red zone, and the Falcons have been kind of, struggling in the red zone, which I absolutely love this guy's or girl's name here, the official Young Ho Koo channel, because that he's been their MVP every time they get into the red zone or near it. They have to.
I really need him to not make field goals the next 2 weeks. That would be fantastic. So it's Rojo and it's Cole Kmet. We need 2.5 PPR. We have Josh Jacobs, A-Rob, and Swift. I think Jacobs is the clear sit there.
Yep.
Okay. Tight ends, Gronk or Gesicki?
Give me Gronk.
Whoa, okay.
I think Gronk has a nice day today.
Okay, I'm gonna roll with Brian. I trust him on this one. Start Gronk. Any other questions before we get out of here? Really appreciate everybody hopping in, dropping the questions. We are here every Sunday morning. Let us know in the comments if we're helping you win playoff games. If you win a fantasy championship, let us know. Colton needs pick 2. So we're sitting Josh Jacobs. We're playing A-Rob and Swift. Colton. No worries. All right, Brian, we got Frank Gore, we got Antonio Brown, or we got Devin Singletary for a flex in non-PPR.
Damn. That's really tough. Give me Antonio Brown because Mike Evans dealing with that hamstring issue. If that flares up again, you're looking at a possible top 20 wide receiver performance there.
No, because Godwin's going to go off and Gronk's going to go off and Rojo season. There's not going to be no room for Antonio Brown.
It's going to be a 40-plus pass attempt Tom Brady game.
So they're going to throw it 40 times and Rojo's going to go off?
Going to get 18-plus carries, yes.
So we should take the over, the team total over.
They're going to run over 65 offensive plays.
I'm playing Devin Singletary. I can't start Antonio Brown, especially in non-PPR. If it was PPR and he's seeing 7 to 10 targets, like whatever. But I'm not going there. Thanks so much for everybody joining us. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We do like to get on a little bit earlier in the morning, but appreciate everybody hopping on. Appreciate everyone dropping questions and all that good stuff. Brian and I are going to get ready for our fantasy playoffs and fantasy matchups and all that good stuff. Make sure you check back tomorrow as we'll be. I don't know if we'll be doing waiver wire. We'll be talking about something, I'm sure. And it's heart of the playoffs. If you have anything you'd like us to discuss on the Monday show, drop them in the chat or drop them in the question. All right, we got one more question. We need to start. Do you start Keenan, Drake, or J.D. McKissick?
God damn.
No problem, Eduardo. Thanks for hopping on and bringing the questions. Hopefully we can help you out.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Yeah, I think you play Zeke this week for sure. It's a good matchup against the Bengals. I'm really interested to see the involvement of Tony Pollard. I think he's another great.
Justin, is it full
Look forward.
PPR? Is it half PPR? What's the scoring? Because McKissick is somebody that is incredibly interesting if you get, full PPR and he sees 10 to 12 targets. But
That's a good point.
if not, it would be Kenny and Drake.
Yeah, I'm right there with Kyle. I also think that the volume that Drake has seen over the last couple of weeks instead of Kyler Murray running is crucial in that decision.
Riley guy, we got Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, or Corey Davis. I think it's very clearly David Montgomery, which is very wild to say.
Yeah, it's got to be Monty this week.
Yeah, full PPR, Brian. We got JD McKissick in full PPR, or do we play Kenny and Drake?
Honestly, I actually am pivoting a little bit, and I'm going to go Kenny Drake.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just play the better player. Like McKissick's gonna. If you just want a solid floor and you don't want to worry about the highs and lows, play McKissick, get your 10 points, and get out of there. But if you are potentially open to the idea of a 25-point game or something, Kenny and Drake would be your name. Melvin Gordon or DJ Chark in full PPR.
Not even close for me. DJ Chark.
DJ Chark. Do. With that, we are going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for hopping on. Thanks for bringing your questions. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.